is right there. On there. Okay. All right. I hope people have had a good weekend. Hi. How are you? Just hanging out here up in good old Canada, and getting some picture drawing done there. But uh, yeah. So big week. I'm only going to be here for a couple of days, and then I'm going to be away for a couple of days. I've got a couple things coming up this weekend. I've got a conference the last part of the week, and then I've got a chalk festival this weekend. So exciting times! Exciting times. I've done some quick images this week. Let me see, find one. Yeah, here I got a couple here. So here's a couple of them. I'll show you because I'm practicing. Practicing. I was just trying out the chalk and seeing what sort of things I could come up with. So, well, anyways, I got one here. I don't know where the other ones I put them. So this is testing out the chalk. Now this is huge. This is, I'm going to show you on camera just a sec. Here we go. So this is a really big picture. And it's on a piece of black construction paper, and you can see where I didn't finish it off. But yeah, so this is the sort of thing I'll be doing on the weekend. Hiya, Linda. Welcome aboard. Hiya, Tim. So yeah, so there you go. There's the first, little approach. Now there's only 12 colors that I have. So some of the combinations in the flesh tones is from overlapping of colors and blending in of colors and just trusting the mark, and stepping back from it. There's a bit of fun and experimentation that one can do in order to find all the interesting surfaces. But I mean, right here you can see there's a pink and purple in this, which is a bit random, I realize, but there's brown in the shoulder, It's just trying different combinations of values in order to make it come together. The same blue that's in the sky is in the beard, right? Just sort of little approaches at trying to unify some of the values throughout the composition. So, yeah, a lot of fun. I've been doing, so I got a whole pile of these kicking around here. Just, they're messy and they're dirty, and I don't want to get my hands all yucky. So I'll just show you the one for now. I don't want to get yucky. Good heavens. My chair was stuck on the carpet down below. Okay, so I've got some different surfaces I could work on here. I haven't picked out anything from the book yet, but I just thought I'd get right in the crack-a-lackin' and doing some scribbling. There was talk last week about cards, trading cards, artist trading cards, I think they're called. So I started realizing this is just a title card, right? And so this is all these. Let me pull in. So these little cards with tape on them and so forth, drawn in red pen, I just sat down and took a look at and said, where I did a bunch of those, where are they? And I didn't finish a bunch. So there's a space bus, I don't know, bunch of things, grabbing an asteroid there. So these ones don't have the tape on them. So I think that's why I didn't finish them. Robot Planet, Dark Planet, Government Planet, nonsense. And so I ended up doing a whole stack of these based on this one book, this one property. And yeah, just never, once I gathered them all together, a scary bad guy. But this is what they're on, is this old school business card from back in the day. And the printing company that those come from is the one that Jerry Siegel worked at in Chatham, Ontario, before he went off to New York City and created Superman. So some of these cards are really old, wicked old, and that's the size business cards used to be. Is about to, I guess they're about, a regular size business card would be about, you'd cut off all of that excess and you've cut off all of this excess, and that's about the size for a regular business card. So that's how much bigger they are. So they're more about the size of a playing card, really, which is, that's just how it was. So I've been plugging away and doing different little things here in the studio. And at the same time, we've got, the different books that we've put together out. And then the apartments, or not apartments, alphabet book is the other one. And so, yeah, we've got the next one coming together. It's all coming together, folks. So I have no real plan for today. I just know that I thought I'd try a couple things, but just farting around. But what I was going to do was open it up to, is there anything that would be of benefit to people, that I could walk through, that anything that I could show people? And what I mean by that is, like, is there, Chris, tell us about all the things you need to do to rule the world. You know what I mean. So, yeah, if there's any requests for stuff, let me know, please, and we'll go about doing some of that. But I've not really any sort of grand plan on what to go about doing today. And one of the things that I do and so until somebody suggests, hey, I want to see this, I'm going to keep messing around. So I'm going to move this cardstock thing. Now this is just 11 by 17 paper. Okay, and I'll move it sideways so we can see it just a little bit better. What I do a lot, now that's a Sharpie, okay? And it's a healthy Sharpie. Let me see if I have a half-dead Sharpie. Nope, those are both healthy ones. I look at the point. That's what tells me if they're healthy or not. But what I do keep around are sketching Sharpies and things like that. And the reason that I keep those around is so that we can, there's some benefits of where, see the stub on this as opposed to the point on this. So this is an older one. And the benefit of older ones is you've got your solid black line, but then you've also got this gray value, the fact that it's drying out. Now, if you press really hard and carry on, you'll keep some of those heavier lines. But what's the benefit of that is when you're doing studying and you're doing gestural work and you're doing things where you're trying to figure out what's a way that I can force myself to have conviction for the lines that I'm putting down and force myself to not second guess, not overthink, and not belabor the point of any of the marks I'm making. And one of the ways you can do that is by taking a Sharpie, taking some random sheets of inexpensive paper, and recognizing that paper is expensive anyways, but relatively inexpensive, right? I'm not a rich guy, so if I'm going to use paper this way, it's because I got 500 sheets for $20, right? Okay, so here we go. We've got this random bit of paper. Just going to make sure I've kind of made everything work. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just figuring out some questions for myself. Now, if I've got, in the way that I'm approaching what it is that I want to do, if I've got some ideas about stuff I want to study, this is a good way to go about it. That's great. But another thing that you can do for yourself is take a stock of the space that's around you and the items that are around you in the area that you're sitting. Because if you're just looking at practicing and just looking at putting down marks, don't look too hard. So whatever room you're sitting in, look at things that surround you, lamps, um, bric-a-brac that's on shelves, even the structure of shelves. Like, okay, over here in my studio, I have a section that's got a bunch of books that are on top, okay, and they've all got, so what I'm just trying to do is figure out the allocation of space with these things. I'm not overly worried about the finish on them. I'm not overly worried about everything being exact and perfect like some people would prefer to do. There's a paper, I do origami of weird random things at times just so it helps me understand shape. So there's an origami of a pyramid. And here's a frame of two of the kids running and playing together when they're little. Now they're old adults, and so it's a fun little old photo. There's there's an easel leaned up against the top of the bookshelf, and so what this is helping me do is just interpret things that are around me in space. It's not this fantastic refined thing. It's not, oh, there's a beautiful piece that I can sell or whatever else. But it's something that you can utilize to answer questions of space and form. So if I want to, try to apply a little more spatial depth, I look at the fact that the books have sides to them and that they sit in space on the wall. There's a light switch there. Okay, and so in doing this, it just helps me to look at the things that are around me and try to figure out ways to interpret them. But because you've got this marker and it has more than just a solid black line, because it has these gray values to it, you can be far more gestural. Now, I was talking to somebody about figurative work. Okay, they're doing their best, but they're having a hard time at a life drawing class that they go to because they just, it doesn't look like other people that are around them. Well, that's understandable. You're not the other people that are around you. But if you can just figure out some of the fundamentals for yourself about how form works and how an individual stands, and some of those shortcuts for yourself for the shape language, then it can start to help you interpret the figure that's in front of you and figure out ways to position them on your page, figure out ways to position the different shapes that work in correlation with one another in order to, use that symbolic language that mark making is, that helps to define their form. Are you worried about, is it have to look like the subject? Does it have to look like a finished thing, or is it a study? And if it's a study, can you get over the fact that, subjectively you're doing sketching in order to come to some kind of terms of the form, the body, the anatomy? How does this figure stack up in all these shapes and how they pile up together so that you can figure something out? And just using this Sharpie, and figuring out all those shapes together will start to help you figure out how the anatomy of that subject works, and how, as you're doing your life drawing, you're starting to more readily define the form of somebody. It's not a case of it has to be perfect. And doing studies like that, it's a case where it needs to be purposeful. What's the benefit of it? What's the potential outcome of it? What is your intent with it? And so just grabbing something like a Sharpie and just sketching everything that you see, if there's an image of a reference photo, or if there's some doodads that are around you in your studio space, like this is a handle mechanism that's on a lamp fixture in my studio. And so it's got some interesting complex shapes that work in allowing the lamp mechanism to be adjusted. So what marks can I use to start to represent that? How can I find all the different individual shapes that are in that so that, it gives me a better comprehension of the nature of the subject? This doesn't mean anything. Is it a finished thing? No. But what it is, it's just drawing to draw. And in just drawing to draw, you'll learn stuff from that, so that when you have to draw subject matter that might seem alternate to how you look at things, well, you've drawn something similar because you're just drawing whatever it is that you see, and you're not overly particular about it. So that when you're drawing things like a lampstand, you're starting to understand how these mechanisms work in space together. You're starting to wonder questions about these interesting shapes, and you can break them all down. You can realize this goes around, this is more like a triangular shape, all those little questions that you can define more readily as you sit down to engage in drawing with something else, because you've taken a moment, you've taken some time to try that out. Here's a quick little, this is a painting of a piece of street that I did. And something like this, where you're just looking at shadows and things like that in a composition like this, is that you're less focused on all the very specific details, and you're just using quick shape language, right? So it's the same thing. It's the kind of thing that you'll start to glean when you look at a doorway, and you'll see inside doorway there's an inside frame for it. We know that this is the internal doorway that goes into the shop. There's this little door back there. This is more about understanding how something works than it is about some sort of finished image. And I'll move this over, I'm sorry. And you'll start to develop an understanding of those things, because you've got this gradient tool, because it's half dry, where you can make different specific marks so that it can help to understand with some more clarity for you how these different planes work. Now, you can't get that by just using a dark marker. But when you take a study like this and you go to implement that in a composition, the doodles around the house like this is the sort of stockpile of stuff that you can just pull from to incorporate in other things. And it doesn't have to be some grand finished thing. It doesn't have to be a finished, specific image of something. It doesn't have to be some definable amount of information that particularly specifically pertains to something, some particular thing that you want to. I need to do a painting of this, like say a street in San Francisco, and you've got elements of things that take place in a street in San Francisco, but you're not entirely, sure how you can sort of frame that, or how you can take that street and define it. And so when you've got sketches like this kicking around where it gives you a specific perspective, well, you can look at something like that and go, okay, well, I'm going to approach the composition in this way, so that, here's the street shot and all the buildings are going in this kind of an angle. And so because of that, then that informs me, of some decisions that I don't have to make now, because they're already pre-made someplace else. And as much as I'm using whatever the resource is of whatever the subject matter is, I know how, by studying something like this and seeing how these different values work together in the space, I understand a little more clearly how light and dark works, and how I can incorporate that into into the composition of the piece that I'm working on now. So don't throw out your dry markers. When it comes to compositions like this as well, here's another fun thing to try. Okay, and so it's just, we're all about sketching today, and just trying out ideas. So these are Poscas. Poscas are good. These are just Faber-Castell markers. These are good. Anything will work for you. But the idea is it has to have some degree of fluidity. So using like a pencil crayon or something like this, you're going to slow down and you're going to be too specific with it. But you can take something like this and say, I want to accentuate on this figural study in the foreground. I appreciate the background thing, but there's something about that I want to hold on to. So I'm going to go around, and this is what you'll see a lot in my sketchbooks, is that I'll do things like this. And so here you are, enhancing that figure, so that tells you something. But I also like how this works, so I'm going to take a different value. I'm going to go around that to separate it from the background. And then if you've got things like Poscas and stuff like that, this is where you can come in and cut out some of the information because you've sketched something or other underneath. And so if you just take a Posca and push some values so that you cut back these dark shadows that are in there, and it just makes that separate a little bit more. But that combination with outline colors of things is of great benefit to you. At the same way, you can take things like, remember I showed you this photo, okay, and the information that's in there. But if you want to spotlight a specific area in it and see how those combinations of colors work in this corner, in this shadow, okay, and some of the area around it, and you're being really loose in your application. But what this can give you, because you've got these various tools around you, is that you can now chop out little bits with the Posca. You can put this light, whatever this light object is, over top. You can cut that right in over top of there. You can give a little more solid form to some things. And then you can still use your Sharpie Darpy and come back in and pick out some of these details. So you can start to do a little more identifiable study of something, but you're using these loose, random mark-making tools that you've got kicking around, and you're not being overly concerned about all the spit and polish on it, right? So I'm a big proponent of encouraging people to just keep whatever random tools available to them to scribble with. And if you haven't got access to things like Posca markers or Posca paint pens or whatever, paint markers, or any other kind of markers on you at the moment, but you've got, let's say, a black pen, or maybe even, and I'll grab that Sharpie again. You got a thin pen and a thick pen, right? So now you can take thin pen and thick pen and start to make some marks and figuring out some value differences as you sit down and you really quickly and loosely just scribble down your ideas, or scribble down the things that you see around you in your space, wherever you are. And in this case, I'm just using this silly picture, but as though it's just because I'm trying to change subject matter up. But if I was outside in a parking lot, this is where I can do studies of some of those cars. And in order to give a little more oomph to that, because if this just feels kind of sedate and boring and you want something more interesting in how you're going about drawing, or if you want to understand the lights and darks and shadows a little bit more, you can take that second pen, the thick one. Remember our good old thick pen? Yeah. So, and you can come in and you can pick out some of these other values. Am I covered up? I'm half covered up, and I apologize for that. I'm so sorry. So here's our car, okay, that I'm scribbling now. Now I'm going to take the Sharpie, and I'm just going to find some of these more standout and interesting dark parts of the composition, and use this as a quick kind of way to figure out how to do some studies of things, again, without overly complicating it and making it have to be something big and extravagant and you know, something that I'm expecting to be some degree of finished. So don't do that to yourself either. Right? So yeah, there you go. And you know, this lets, sometimes we need to break out of a rut, and sometimes we need to find ways to put down marks and to allow ourselves to grow, but not to do so in some kind of precious way. You know, don't expect that, you know, however it is that you go about. Oh, there's the color base, in case that wasn't in camera. I apologize for that. There we go. So, but this way you can experiment and test out different things and different ideas, and learn and grow and make mistakes and be sloppy and, you know, clunky, and yet at the same time there's great benefit to it. So yeah, I just thought I'd pop in for a few minutes, and you know, that takes the pressure off it to be perfect. Linda says, yeah, it's exactly what it is. And you can do anything, and you can switch your subject matter. You've got a page that's, you know, drawings of different tables. I don't care. And it doesn't matter what the subject is. But then there's this book that I have right here in front of me, and I don't have a book like this in front of me, but so I sit down and I figure out, how do I draw this book in some kind of perspective so that I can use it in the thing that I'm working on right now. You know, and if that, so there's no real deeper intent to this sketch other than the fact that you're trying to figure out how that looks for whatever the project you're doing now is. I made a mistake on this line, I fixed it. Is it for anybody else? No. So am I overly worried about the mistake? No. You know, and you know, of course you can do things like this where you're covering up your mistakes. Oh, I meant all the lines to be that thick around the outside. Whatever. You know. So there's your justification with your mistake. Look at that, looks perfect. So so try things like that, and keep a couple of random tools in your pockets. You know, a couple small pencils, a couple of markers, half dry markers, random colors of pens or things. Don't be too precious and overly concerned about stuff. But if you get an opportunity to have like a small book where you're sketching whatever it is that you're sketching, and you know, a little guy here, whatever this is, this business, there's the doctor's office, there's the thing I saw driving down the street, here's another thing I saw driving down the street. I've got random bits of tape through here, just because I felt like it. This is, again, got tape in it, but here's people sitting in front of us at a theater. Just a skyline, playing with the sky from a picture someplace or something. Here's the dark, like preset things for yourself. Like, you got extra paint, roll it on a piece of paper, or on the pages across your book, right? Throw some tape in it if you want, whatever you do for you. And do a little scribble, leave it. Come back and incorporate it into something, or go over it, whatever, later. But preset your surfaces to work on. You know, this is the top of a bunch of trees at some event that we went to outdoors with my wife, and I just, while she was talking to some people and doing her thing, I quickly sketched some trees. And then I tried to remember what the sky looked like as well. But, you know, I did this down below. I didn't want to monkey around with my little pen trees. That's it. You know, keep a little book like that. And there's nothing wrong with drawing over old drawings. There's nothing wrong with exploring different things and, covering up whatever it is that you've got going, trying different tools, and seeing where it takes you. And I mean, this is painting over top of existing drawings. Well, is it messy and crazy? Yeah, sure. But who's this for? This is the things like sketchbooks are for us. They're things that help us understand things that we see, so that when we sit down and work on whatever it is that we work on at the moment, we've got this resources to draw upon from how we've interpreted things that we've come across, ideas that we've had, and where we can take those. And there's, if you see, oh, I really like this little square right here. So then, grab another surface. Where did I put that Sharpie? I'll just use the Sharpie. So, is this it? This is it. So I'll take this little guy right here, and I want to explore that further. And this is my little notebook I'm carrying at the moment. It's not. I carry a few different silly things, but so I'm going to make a quick sketch of this for myself in this book for me to explore more and to see where I'm feeling inspired that this is going to take me. Right? And things like that are going to happen because you can look back in your notes. You can look back in your scribbles and your doodles, and I want to explore that further. I've got a story idea that might fit to that. I want to. I've got a pink marker on me, so I'll make him have pink. I'll explore the character and do some scribbling and doodling with the marker that I have and see where that takes me, if that inspires me. But whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The sketchbooks are for us, and we're not worried about what other people think of them, and we're not concerned about showcasing them for any reason. This is unbridled ideas and unbridled moments and unbridled creativity for yourself to hone your skills, to develop ideas and compositions. Like, I just like this exploding face. I don't know, right? And here's a guy on fire. That's from a cover of a book that I enjoyed, but I thought, well, it's pretty dark, so I'm scribbling this. It's playing, and allow yourself that. Whatever it is that you do and whatever your idea generation is for yourself, a lot of times what we get caught up in is collating materials and gathering up resources with intentions in mind. Well, that's all well and good. It is. But a lot of times we can get stuck in that practice where we're spending more time collating materials and gathering up those things for these intended projects, and we don't do the projects. We don't, I never learned how to play at drawing a book because I've just been collecting pictures of books as opposed to, taking the few minutes of the work to try to emulate, some lines on I put some lines on a piece of paper to emulate what a book actually is and looks like, and how I signify that by the marks I make. So play, have fun, play. Don't worry too much about things. Use whatever you have that's available and is comfortable to you. By overlapping elements with abandon, you may well come up with some ideas that, that combination of things together within your composition, sets off some spark in your head. And so now, I want to put these, whatever this drawing is that I'm working on, I just want to randomly locate some flags. across the composition. What does that signify? Well, I don't know. It's however it applies to your thing. But you can use something like this to direct the eye. These flags are dividing up this image into thirds and halves right here. It halves the composition across this diagonal line, but it also cuts the horizontal plane up into 3 pieces. And those happy accidents come around from trying stuff out. And it's, I'm going to have one bending, whatever, doesn't matter, just to make it a little more interesting. So play and try those things out and have some fun with them. And I just want to stop in for a quick moment and say hi, just because it's I'm busily working away on a couple of things, and I'll put up one page out for today. The paintings that we did on Friday, the one that's on board of the sci-fi city that I started, and then this is the other thing that I did. And the idea was to just try 3 colors. And in this case, it was a sand color, a blue, and a orange. And so what I needed to try to figure out is how can I go about painting a larger composition using only those 3 specific colors of paint. And one of the reasons that I wanted to do that was to show that if you have limited materials, that's okay. It doesn't matter. You can explore those things to your fullest. Put down combinations of marks as you make it. I didn't source anything doing this drawing, but what the idea was with this drawing was to try to just draw a couple characters in repose and to explore those characters with limited means. And so there's what we got. The wings don't necessarily look like wings. There's some symbolic marks to make you think of it, but I never finished the thing off. And the reason that's okay, that doesn't matter. That's okay, because stuff like this for us is sketching, right? And that's sort of do more of that. Allow yourself to grab whatever materials and tools that you have and just sketch, doodle, explore, examine, use a sketchbook, use random bits of paper, whatever it might be. I'm missing stuff here. Mr. Runsman, finally caught you live. How you doing, Gary? Welcome aboard. Linda says, I've been practicing with one color, black, and a metallic. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. Limiting a palette, limiting the selection of choices of materials that you have, you can do great things. And Gary Hodges, who's joined us, has a fantastic idea. He has a fantastic knowledge of how light works on a subject. And his series, Dinosaurs vs. Mars Bots, DVSM, he does great illustrations using black and white. And, that sort of stuff comes along from practice and, study and things like that, and how we see things and how we represent those. So the challenge of having black and white, and like you say, a metallic color or a color in between, if you've got something like a sketch, and then you can come through, what did I grab? A yellow paint marker, and start figuring out where the light stands. If it's coming from here, right? So we see how the light starts to affect the character and how it allows some emotion or some more focus applied to it this way. And you'll start to figure those things out over time, but having that third value, like the metallic, that's a great idea. That's a great thing to kick in, especially because it's pretty and shiny. The grandkids were over, and they bought some chocolate flowers, for Lori. And so I saved these little wrappers from them. And on this little foil, and one side it's shiny red, and the other side it's your shiny metal. And there's a part of me that what I'm going to do with these is that I'm going to take some sort of medium or and I'm going to apply these into an image in a similar way to like gold leaf, where I'm putting down gel medium or whatnot, laying those down the surface, and then making sure that they're secured in, and then I'll just keep painting over top of them and leaving some of it to shine through. But and that's just you see a random piece of material kicking around you, and just tuck it aside, leave it someplace accessible, and whatever, if you have a defined working area. Now, bearing in mind, I recognize that my defined working area is a little, busy. And so I keep access to a lot of things around me at all times. I've got, the way that I've been able to carve out some space is afforded me the opportunity to have all kinds of mark making tools around me at any given time, including a wall full of pens and pencils and things, and different other mark making tools and such behind me. And I got an easel, a wall mounted 8-foot by 8-foot easel over there, and the desk area. But that's also because of years of whatnot, years of doing this kind of thing. If you're able to define a 3-foot by 2-foot space to work with, that's fantastic. If you've got some drawers underneath wherever it is that you're working, or you've got some baskets, fill them with stuff, with pens and pencils and markers and paint markers, or whatever, bits of paper, and maybe matte medium, gel medium, whatever, glue, and some paint, some random little rollers like this, inks, whatever it is. And so you've got these little trays, these little bins of things, and so you can reach into one of these things and pull out gold pen. And so now you're going to put your metallic in, and you're going to use your metallic marker in here in your composition now, so that you're going to put more definable marks in the thing, so that they start to have a little bit more form. Great power. There's power in that for yourself to learn and to grow. It's a fantastically easy way for you to discover the new things and the new ways for you that you create, and that people might look at how you create and go, oh, that's their thing. So yeah, try stuff out like that. I posted today for the quick stream here that if you've got any one-page story ideas, feel free to throw them at me. That I'm still open to that. I'm still working on those things, despite doing a lot of commission work right now, and which knock on wood, I'm very grateful for. So, but at the same time, still trying new things, still trying and playing with ideas. For somebody was saying that they really liked when we were doing these silly bits of business last week. These little quick portraits on wood pieces, and they would like to see more of that. And then somebody else suggested that putting down quick palette notes is of benefit for folks. So if there are things like that for you that help, let me know, and I'm always open to doing more of those sorts of things. Yeah, if there's anything like that you can think of, by all means, please let me know. But let's pick out. Move all this. I just got stacks of junk at this point. Where's the book? Here's the book. What do we got? Let's see. I'm trying to find. We've got some regular names in here that we've done stuff of in the last week or so. Let's see. Have I got anything outstanding? Gary has joined us today. Have I got anything outstanding for Gary right now? The Kandahar Giant of Afghanistan. I just found this for Gary. So this is what I will do for tomorrow. The Kandahar Giant of Afghanistan. I think this is from the conspiracy chat we were having during one of my streams. So, yeah. So that's coming up. I'll have that posted. And then tomorrow is Tuesday. And tomorrow I will be in the studio all day long. And I may well stream numerous times. I'm going to be streaming in the morning. I know for a fact. Normally I'm here in the afternoon. But tomorrow morning, I think that I will be here at, let's say, 10 a.m. EST tomorrow. And so if people are interested in coming and hanging out, you're more than welcome to do so then. And then I'll stream again later on Tuesday as well. But yes, says Gary, that story is fun. Nice. I'm glad. Okay. Yeah. So we'll do the Kandahar Giant of Afghanistan for tomorrow. So yeah, so 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, I will be in the studio streaming. And yeah, we'll do a one-page story together. And if people have any specific mediums you want me to use, or any specific materials or any surfaces, if it's a jelly-plated paper or whatever it might be, if anybody has any requests like that, put them in the comments for this video or for today's post. Corbin is sneezing in the corner, and hi Susanna, welcome aboard. So yeah, so and as always, yeah, I'm really keen that if anybody comes and hangs out together here, that you take a moment and check out what each other are doing, and take a look at each other's works, and if there's things that you might glean from one another, that's a gift, that's a blessing. There's so much out there that we can learn from one another, and yet no matter if you're learning these things from somebody else, they're still going to be, however you might utilize some of these. Oh, I like those colors. How you use those colors are still going to be your thing and your way, and how you interpret things. So it's great to share, and it's great to study and to learn from one another. So don't think that if you're looking at somebody else's image and you try to sketch it or whatnot, that you're stealing or anything like that. It's not like you're just trying to reproduce their work or anything. You're learning and you're growing, and stuff like this, stuff like the sketchbook nonsense, stuff like the little sketch cards, having access to, even if you've just got small bits of random paper with, if you've got extra paint or something, throw it down on it, because it could present you with opportunities that, maybe something that you can facilitate in your own work, right? Like somebody may well be trying to capture some of those elements for some painting of a field that they want to do. And you have figured out a way by scraping some paint onto some excess paint or excess material onto a surface and go, oh, I kind of like that. Well, how can you incorporate that in your work? And keep stuff around that you can use. Don't throw out paper because you made a mess on it. Scribble on the paper you got and use that. Linda asks if Gary has a YouTube channel. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Gary does. Please check out Gary's work. Gary, are you back to, if Gary's still here, are you back to Saturday streaming again? I can never catch it because I'm always running around on weekends. But Gary has been doing a process stream for some time where he talks about the making of his books. And Gary's books are fantastic. Unfortunately, we are cataloging my library, and so I don't know where to put anything right now. Gary says, I do. Search for my name and DVSM, and you'll find me. Excellent. Thank you, Gary, for letting us know that. And anybody, please check that out. Yeah, it's fantastic. I really enjoy Gary's work a lot. And I think he has a really strong grasp of what he's doing and his own unique story sensibilities and style. And I really enjoy those. And I've really been enjoying his story. And he has secret codes in there. Secret codes. The best. Love secret codes and things. And I'm currently live streaming every other Thursday evening. Oh, excellent. I'm definitely going to try to catch that. Definitely going to try to catch those for sure. Every other Thursday evening for Gary. When's your next one, Gary? And we'll get that in the chat here so that we can get people to come and check it out. Yeah, I'm actively waiting for Gary's next book. I enjoy it so much. And I missed, I had a note for myself to another friend of online here, Scott, just finished his book series he's been working on for the last few years. And issue 6 came out, and I had a note here, and I blanked on it, and I completely missed his Kickstarter, so I have to order all those from Scott now, because those are fun. This Thursday night this week, Gary will be doing a live stream talking about his process. So let's try to check that out if we can, folks. I know I'm going to miss this week's because I'll be at that conference in Cambridge, Ontario. But yeah, I'll definitely watch it as a video. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Okay, well, I just thought I'd stop in quick. I feel kind of because I'm stopping in and we got people popping in, and I apologize that I can't stick about today, but like I said, I've got some things I really have to get done for some commission work and due dates, huh? Yeah, no complaints. That's a blessing to get though. So yeah, so I'm gonna step out for now, but 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. 10 a.m. EST. So whatever time that is for you, wherever you are. I don't know, but I'll go for a while. And yeah. Oh, Linda has put a link up for Gary. Fantastic, Linda. Thank you very much for that. So it's in the chat, the link to Gary's stream. And please check it out. Yeah, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, I'll be back. Thank you very much for everybody for coming in. It's good to see everybody. Good to see you again, Gary. And thank you very much to Linda, the moderator with the mostest. And yeah, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning and probably 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. So yeah, stop by, hang out. If you've got any suggestions or requests for materials or for surfaces or anything like that, let me know. And I'll just use those tomorrow. I'm fine. I'm cool like that. All right, gang. Thanks very much. I'm out for now. I'll see you tomorrow. Go make something. Bye for now.